What's happening, everybody? I'm back. It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington, and I'm here with the episode 14 review of DC Universe's Doom Patrol. And if you don't know already, I think you've been here 14 episodes. You should know the deal. There will be spoilers. And just in case you're new to it, this is going to be spoilers. Also, I know I introduced myself, but there's another black dude here. And he's been here with me since episode 2. Why not episode 1? Because I didn't like the nigga like that. But then I brought him in episode 2, so he's here. He's Winston A. Marshall. How are you, sir?
That's fine. I didn't know who you were in episode 2. You were like, hey, nigga, you want to do this thing? And I was like, who are you?
Nigga, you knew me. You was a fan of me from the Showdown, nigga.
A fan?
You was a fan of mine,
Are you
nigga.
sure a fan? Like, that's a very strong language. I don't appreciate you putting words in my mouth that I don't believe. Like, I'm not a fan of you now. Like, you're just here, nigga. Like, that's just what it is. Like, real talk though, seriously, spoilers, because I'm gonna be talking about all the funny ass shit that happened in this episode.
Which, by the way, the name of the episode is Penultimate Patrol, and this is the penultimate episode of Doom Patrol. Yes, it is the official penultimate episode.
So go ahead and put in the comments 50 times about how there's like only one more episode. And
penultimate means the episode before something before the final. The season finale is next week. I feel like I had to be petty.
I know it's fine. It's because people wanted to tell us like 50 times. Nah, nigga, you wrong. It's like 3 more.
We got it. Now we know it's episode 14. Next week's the season finale. But no, man, thank you to everybody that's been commenting on the videos, man. We got a comment from somebody in Indonesia, dog.
Damn.
I'm famous in Indonesia. I don't know about you, but I'm famous. That's how you shit on the video of both of us.
That's rude. Like
the video's about both of us. Like,
yeah,
nigga, it's just all me.
He just fucking here.
It's just me.
Whatever.
But let's kick off. This episode kicks off. First of all, I was proud of shit where the episode kicked off at. Kicked off in 1946 Chicago. Now, if you know anything about 1946 Chicago, first of all, it was racist as shit.
I was gonna say, like, were there niggas there?
It was like 3 niggas who were working.
And they weren't allowed to go in the front door nowhere?
Nope, or the same water fountain. But also, it was the heavily time of the gangsters in Chicago and corrupt mayors, which we still will know 73 years later will still be corrupt mayors and shit.
Ooh, too soon.
But we see a newspaper article that says the Brotherhood of Evil they're threatening the city. And you've heard about the Brotherhood of Evil in the very first episode when you talk about how Mr. Nobody became Mr. Nobody. And then you see a woman sitting at a table, and you see Mr. Nobody in his human form walk in with the box full of like toys and gadgets and stuff. And then he tells her like he didn't get the job. You know what I'm saying? They basically fired him, which she was even like, the Brotherhood of Evil fire people?
Right, which seems kind of weird. Like, can you imagine the Legion of Doom, like Lex Luthor and Brainiac being like, all right, well, this ain't really working out, Toy Man, so we're going to have to let you go.
Hey, Condiment King, look, you ain't sitting there performing like you should. But here's the problem.
Your giant ketchup vat did not stop Batman, nigga, so we're going to have to go ahead and kick you out.
But the best part behind it be like, all right, so can I file unemployment off this? Like,
can you imagine Lex Luthor having to play your ass unemployment because you didn't end up killing Batman?
Yeah, here's why I let him go. He didn't do his job description. What was his job description? Well, he was supposed to terrorize the city. He kind of did that. He was supposed to make chaos, and he was supposed to kill Batman. I understand what it sounds like, but hear me out. All right, whoever wanted to rev up down the damn street.
Tiny dick.
Anytime you hear engine revving in a car, you be like, "This is dude with a tiny dick, tiny dick, my penis." Like, hey fellas, if any of y'all ride sports cars, Camaros, all this shit, and have a big, huge dick, I don't really give a shit about your dick, but it approves the theory that only men that are overcompensating for their dick are doing that. So,
because like that's the thing, I feel like if you had an engine like that, you would ride around naked, so everybody knew
you would see my dick, man.
Like you sling it over your shoulder while you revving your engine.
I would be in a Camaro with my dick in the passenger side in the carpool.
Nah, nigga, that'd be my seatbelt and shit.
Nope. My dick ain't finna be my seatbelt because I'm not finna have to get hurt in the chance I need to stop.
I was gonna say, if it's that long anyway, it's probably got elasticity and shit, nigga, so you'd be fine, so you could just fucking
I want my dick to get me through the carpool lane.
I feel like no cop would ever give you a ticket for that. They'd just be like, damn.
Sir,
actually, if a white cop did, they'd probably just shoot you.
He'd be mad as shit, be like,
he'd be
so you got this dirty dick.
Weapon!
And
too soon.
And these fine Corinthian leather seats.
Too soon. We on the clock. We gotta.
Mr. Nobody is talking to Giselle, his girlfriend, and he tells about how he was replaced by a
gorilla.
A gorilla that speaks French.
Monsieur Mala.
Monsieur Mala is the gorilla. Because at first I was like, Grodd? No, that's too early. Monsieur Mala. So remember, and when you see Grodd later on in like The Flash and other things, Grodd comes later because of the metahuman situation, which technically the Doom Patrol is, but they're not labeled metas.
Right.
All right. So basically, he finds that he gets dumped by her. And it's a reason you see this scene. There's a reason. Of course, every time you see something in Doom Patrol, there's a big reason for it. And this one plays a real big factor later.
Which is funny. You think they would do that with, all shows? Like, that should not be named, a.k.a. Game of Thrones. Like, they're going to give you some prophecies and then just not do it.
Won't let this shit go, huh?
Nope.
So we fast forward to the hospital where Vic is still with his dad, who he beat the holy shit out of. Like, he had memories of beating his daddy's ass while his daddy just
He's having nightmares of his dad woke up and be like, having a nightmare? Because I was having one too, nigga, where you beat my ass.
Yo, if anybody ever seen Mark, that episode where he boxed Tommy Hitman Earth, that was what Silent Stone looked like later. Is the swelling going there?
The only thing that was funny about it, man, is that if you notice, it was the same eye on Cyborg, on Silas. That was
Cyborg. Yeah. So it's like father, like son. Which that's what we needed the narrator of Mr. Nobody. Like father, like son. You have two black eyes for two black guys.
Oh, God. I feel like the one thing Mr. Nobody is not is racist, though.
He's a
sociopath. Like, he wants to rule the world. But
he is not racist.
He's not racist.
They have never done any racist shit with Mr. Nobody. Thank God. Because they'd be like, I'm omnipotent. I don't like niggas.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So...
Oh, shit. Oh, I was not ready for that. You caught me completely the fuck off guard, fam.
So we fast forward, and the Doom Patrol, they're in the bus driving, trying to find the chief. And basically, before they try to find the chief, they're trying to find the beer hunter. Well, as they're driving, Cliff is like, what the fuck is that? And it's like, a town in the middle of nowhere? Turns out it's Danny. And the best part is, Larry sits there and says, oh, we didn't tell you about the sentient teleporting genderqueer street? Rita was like, Vic told us. And so they go, and then they go with Flex Mentallo. So Flex, again, has a connection with Danny. And Danny's like, hey, how's it going?
How's Dolores?
And it just gets sad as shit.
She's gone. And so then all of a sudden, Danny's like, I'm so sorry, and puts the little floating, like...
The floating arm thing. Dudes.
And then Flex is just hugging the floating arm thing, and they're like, all right, can we focus? Like,
Rita was like, as touching this is, we have a thing to do.
We have to find Niles. So they're like, we got to find this nigga, the beard hunter. And they find him, and he's just bought some groceries and shit, walking down the street, and they're like, hey, motherfucker! And they get him pinned against the wall, and they're like, yo, we know you know where Niles is, nigga. Where the fuck is he?
Wait, Jay turns into Hammerhead, takes 2 bananas out this mom's groceries.
Tell me where the fuck the chief is before what did she say?
They put both of these up your ass with
both these bananas up your ass with
the peel still on. I was like, oh, it's gonna be banana rape. Oh. And then so Danny steps in and says, I know what Niles is. He says, the reason I didn't tell you because I'm scared of Mr. Nobody. Finds out he's in the white space. Okay, so Flex Mentallo's like, oh, I know where that is. It's the space in the comic book pages where there's no content. So there's nothing there, which is like, that's kind of a dope thing.
I thought that was a super dope concept.
And so he was like, I can take you there. I have a flux capacitor. Cliff was like, do you need some baby oil or something?
So here's the funny thing. That was a perfect setup because then Flex was like, already, everybody hold hands, focus on the white space. And he starts to flex. And all of a sudden, Rita's like, And then Larry's like, And even Chain's like, what the fuck is happening? And Cliff is like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, you see the 3 of them and everyone in town starts orgasming because he hit the wrong muscle. So the wrong vibration went out, and it caused everyone, including Danny the Street, to have an orgasm simultaneously.
Wait, and it got so funny because Cliff didn't want to be left out.
So he just goes, oh yeah. So he bends a woman over, starts smacking her ass, and just doing like this. So he's not even coming. This nigga just starts fake air fucking.
Oh yeah. And then Larry just comes all the way down to his knees.
He falls to his knees. Danny busts so hard, a fire hydrant explodes, and some nigga walking down the street is just like,
taking it in the rain or some shit. Like it's the Shawshank Redemption.
Rita can't hold her form. Her whole leg keeps
Jane is so bad. Jane like, I fucking hey, yeah. That's a real orgasm, though. I just want fellas, if
your girl ain't ever told you she hates you.
She hates you when she coming because she busting so hard. She, I fucking hate you. You are hitting the right spot. Don't you fucking stop.
But that's what's so funny about that is they showed all the different types of orgasms. So the whole idea of like the legs quivering, that's why Jane couldn't keep the form on her legs. They kept fucking morphing into the blob. That's why fucking Larry hit the fucking ground. Like, you ever had your dick sucked so well that it brings you to your goddamn
It breaks
knees?
your whole structure down. You just like,
But yeah, one girl on a bicycle talking about, and get her legs up and she just fucking ride like this.
If you've never experienced a good orgasm until you've had you and your partner have that orgasm at the same time. If you a dude to make a woman come at the exact same time as you, look, we understand for our orgasms as fellas, it might not last that long, but you better act like that motherfucker still going with hers.
I mean, if you are really in sync, that shit'll last long enough. It may not go if she's gonna hit 2 or 3 triplets.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But like if she like a long one, or
you
like
need to give it the initial.
You might you know what I'm saying? Like, fuck. No, but it's so funny. Even Danny, man, he had his marquee being like, oh my God. Like, and then when it was finally all said and done, his inflatable man said, it just felt the fuck off. That shit was so funny.
So eventually he gets in the white, he gets him in the white space, right? And Mr. Nobody's there in his regular form. And so he's like, well, before they go, when they all get in the white space, they're all in their different places. They're at the exact same moment of their origin stories. So the exact moment where everything was about to change for their life. Cliff goes in his car. He's in his trailer home the day he's going to get in his car with his wife. Larry's with his family the night before his plane thing. Rita's in her tent getting ready to shoot her scene. Jane is in the mental hospital, right barricading the door right before the therapy that unlocks everybody. And so Mr. Nobody's like,
well, they're all there before they all get superpowers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's their origin days.
No, but I'm saying before all of Jane's personalities. The personalities already exist. They just don't have powers yet.
Well, yeah, let's say that they don't have the abilities yet, and so So Mr. Nobody's telling them, I'll let you all live your normal life like nothing's ever happened. All you have to do is live in this memory and forget about Niles. Well, Cliff's there. Cliff see the nanny. First of all.
Well, okay. So in all of the memories, they all get temptations. So right. Larry's back with his family, and the wife was like, "Oh, you're doing the dishes. You're gonna be late for your whatever." Rita, like all of a sudden, the guy, the camera operator that was distracting her, who was a black guy, got fired.
First of all, like, let me say this real quick. It wasn't racist on the part why they got rid of dude. It was because Rita liked dark meat. Okay. It was distracting her because Rita liked that chocolate thing.
Yeah. Chocolate,
get it up.
Nigga, that's not why it was. Come on now, be real.
It was that chocolate, get it up.
But my favorite is, because they show Cliff first. He's the one that first gets tempted. Yeah. The nanny comes out of nowhere, and she gets a beer out of the fridge.
With a towel on.
She goes, you want one? He goes, yeah. And then the next thing you know, they're all like, no, we're grown people. Like, Larry's doing the dishes like, no, I've lived by this. I already ruined their life. Rita's like, nah, I was already a piece of shit before this happened.
Jane's just
kind of, she's not really saying anything. She's not really saying anything. She's kind of contemplating, not saying anything. The minute we come back to Cliff, why this nigga getting head from the nanny while drinking a beer? like he was straight. He was like, I don't know how long I'm gonna stay here, but I'm gonna get this head in this beer while I can feel it.
He couldn't get the real orgasm, so he couldn't get that orgasm when they were on the street.
But he also couldn't drink beer because he doesn't even drink. So he said, let me get my beer, let me get my head. Like, I need both of these right now. I need these
in my life, fam.
There's nothing better than drinking a beer.
Again, Mr. Nobody's telling all of them what they can have better. They can have better lives. We go back to Cliff, and what do we get? Something Jay's been wanting since episode 1. More titties!
Finally, Cliff is fucking, so she's upside down, the titties bouncing, and Jay was so excited. That's all.
Because it's like, you're not going to tease me with titties episode 1 and don't give me titties no more. Ladies, you like titties too. So don't make it seem like I'm wrong. We all like a good pair of nice looking titties. Those was beautiful titties. Beautiful breasts. Bless those breasts.
Titties.
Ass and titties. We doing this again?
Titties. That was so funny. Let's do that shit one more time.
Ass and titties. Ass and titties.
Ass, titties.
So the team realizes that, basically comes to the realization that their lives are their lives, and basically that they are the Doom Patrol, without saying it. They realize who they are, and they go back into the white space, but they're in individual spots. So now Mr. Nobody has them basically in nothing. Well, Rita becomes a genius and realizes, I'm tired of letting somebody else narrate my life. I'm going to narrate my own. And to hear Mr. Nobody be like, wait, what?
Well, there's one key thing that we skipped over for half a second. So the three of them, I'm surprised Cliff was okay with it, but Cliff, Rita, and Larry all say, fuck it, like, we're going to do this. When as Jane further barricades herself in, it's Hammerhead that keeps trying to force Jane to go. And she's like, no, it's safe in here. And Hammerhead goes, fuck that. Like, as much as we've done, the only thing we were meant to do is protect the girl.
Right.
And
no,
so,
she was like, well, because Jane was like, we're safe from, we can protect ourselves, protect everybody else from us.
Right.
Hammerhead says, fuck everybody else. Our job is to protect the girl.
Exactly. So she's the one that actually forces Jane to kind of show up and come out of there. So yes, they go in the white space. And I thought this was brilliant on the part of Belanti and his team. And that Rita is the one that decides to do the narration, and she specifically says, I'm tired of somebody else telling my story.
Because that's what she's been an actress. She's been in film and TV.
That's part of it. The bigger thing for me is that's a narrative. I feel like, I know this that they didn't film this like as of this week, but I thought that was a brilliant narrative to have one of the more powerful women in the story to say something like that. Instead of having like a man say it or anything like that, I thought it was very clever, both because she's an actress, but to have a woman say, no, fuck this, I'm going to tell my story. So someone that would typically be underrepresented. Oh,
I guess, absolutely, absolutely. And that's a great thing to hear that.
And I feel like Greg and his team has done this the entirety of the series. I mean, the whole episode with Danny the Street, like the main Danny Patrol episode, like they've done that throughout of really showing individuals that maybe don't always get represented or seen to have that moment to shine and to make a stand for themselves and show that they can be just as powerful, whether or not whatever they're going through, whoever they are, et cetera, et cetera. But I just wanted to...
Oh, no. And so while that happened, she takes control and she says, as Rita walks, she made a turn and saw her other friends, which brings them together. And so they all slowly come together. But Vic, we go cut to Vic, who's in the hospital, and his father tells him the truth. That, hey, the memory you've always had of your mom being on the ground next to you isn't real. We told you that because... basically, she was alive when you were blown up. I had to choose only one. And the only reason I chose only one was because of Niles.
That's not the reason why he only chose one.
Well, he would survive it as well. He
would. Well, that was the thing.
The mother knew she would do it.
Silas. So what he said is he could only save one.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, no. But you made it sound like he was like, well, I'm only going to save one of them because fuck it. It's like he only had the capability to save one of them, and so he was actually tempted to save his wife. It was Niles that convinced him to save Vic. And he was like, he's a better, younger specimen. He has a better chance of being cyborg and really doing something with this. And so there's this really ugly moment, but like honest moment where Silas was like, look, I wanted to save your mom. I was convinced otherwise by Niles that I should save you.
And also, if I told you, he's like, I didn't want to tell you a long time ago because I didn't want you to hate me.
Right.
So as a father, he had, just as much as Vic carried the guilt with him, Silas has carried that guilt with him. And so that all came out. So then, basically Vic pissed like, yo, I got people I got to go save.
Like actual friends I can trust.
Trust.
So he takes off.
So when he takes off, all of a sudden you see the Doom Patrol. They're with Mr. Nobody. And they realize, all of a sudden Jane comes back, but Jane doesn't come herself. Jane comes as Dr. Harrison. And Dr. Harrison, who's the psychiatrist, who's also psychic, starts to read Mr. Nobody. Was like, what are you overcompensating for? Why are you this? He's like, a woman. And somebody broke your heart. And then he starts to break down about that. And they're like, oh, you're really a nobody. And then they're like, oh, well, so Mr. Nobody's like, well, fight me. And they're like, I don't want to fight you.
I pity you, man.
I feel sad for you. And so he reverts back to his human form. But then he tries to revert back to his Mr. Nobody omnipotent form. And it goes red. And then while it goes red, it's a blast from Cyborg, like just from behind him.
He hits him with a booyah. That was dope.
But now, here's the thing that we didn't pay attention to, which we should have obviously noticed. Cyborg comes into the white space with a black and white jumpsuit on.
Yes.
Meaning, that's Mr. Nobody without it being, but we don't think that.
Ooh.
Remember, everybody else in the white space went in their regular gear.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
They're in their regular gear.
Yeah.
So afterwards...
Or what they were wearing when they were on Danny the Street.
Yes, when they were on Danny the Street. So we best say that. Yes. And so afterwards, after they blow him up, everything seems to go back fine in Doom Manor. Niles is there, down the hall calling for the briefing. Everyone's coming out, but the catch is they're in their classic uniforms. They're wearing the red in some type of form or fashion. They go, they have a mission all of a sudden. It's the giant robot that Mr. Nobody was talking about earlier.
Well, I was gonna say. So, I zoned out for like half a second. Did you mention that like Niles is like coming down, like waiting for a team meeting, and then like big breakfast out, and they're all bantering back and forth.
Well, yeah, I just basically said bringing everybody together.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they go fight the robot. Robot incinerates him. Niles is like, no!
Restart over.
All of a sudden, it's the exact same setup. Hey, team, where are you? Oh, I went for a run. Oh, I did this, that, or the other. Here's breakfast. And then we see a montage of the same 3 different ways. I-beams of rockets and stomping on them over and over and over again until Niles finally figures it out. Wait a minute.
This isn't real.
We're in a time loop. This isn't real. And then all of a sudden, that's where you hear Cyborg go, who the hell is that? And that's when you realize there are 2 cyborgs, and that's when it starts to click, oh shit.
The other cyborg was
Mr. Nobody the whole time.
He blasted himself to make you think it was done.
So he could essentially put them in this time loop. So eventually, what ends up happening, they're all talking. And
back in the white space
They're back in the white space now. And they're like, okay, what's going on? And so Mr. Nobody's like, yo, you need to fucking tell him the truth. Like, that's the only way you're going to get out of this. And he's like, I can't. And he's like, you have to. And that's when he says, and this was kind of alluded to by Silas earlier, when he said that Niles was the one that convinced me that I should implant you with grid and make you cyborg. He goes, all of your accidents were not accidents. I was the reason that all of you actually ended up being created.
Which is crazy because I brought back up to him. Remember, Niles is immortal because they're 95 years. He even said it at one point that they're like 90 something years old, and they haven't aged. Niles has been as old as he is since we saw him that episode when he was part of the Bureau of Oddities. So he just tells him, I'm the reason for it. Now, we don't know the full reasoning behind it, but we know the team will be pissed because it's like, you took our lives away.
Right.
You took our lives away. So it cuts off on that note. Next week is the season finale, so it's going to be interesting to see how the team handles feeling betrayed by Niles.
Especially because their whole quest this entire time was to save the chief.
It has been to save the chief.
The chief has been a piece of shit this whole time. Like, that's got to be world rocking. So
and at the same time, trying to find out that while dealing with Mr. Nobody.
Right.
Or even the fact of, do you save him from Mr. Nobody?
Right.
So, the penultimate episode, all this is culminating. We go to one last episode next week. What's your thoughts? And the rating?
5. Like, they're absolutely killing it. Like, again, if anybody could take some notes from this, it's these fucking D&D dudes from Game of Thrones. Like, this is how I understand that that's seasons wrapping up an entire series. But like, if you want to talk about a through line all the way and really like coming to the like a fine point, this has been insanely well executed. And this episode has got to be like one of my. I feel like probably the Danny episode, and then this were probably my 2 favorites. Like this was just and the Jane episode. Jesus.
All right, I'll say this. I agree. 5 stars out of 5. I'll disagree with the comparison to Game of Thrones because this is season 1.
Sure.
Where it's season 8.
Sure.
So we've built up.
No,
this did a perfect season.
Sure.
This did a perfect season in that regard.
Yeah.
So that was a good thing. I think that this storytelling has been phenomenal. The issue I run into with the last episode next week is, will we end a season or will we give a cliffhanger where you're like, please God, let them get renewed for a second season?
Right.
Which I don't mind either way. You know, I'm really not caring if they say this is the end, we close this book, but at the same time, I want more. You've built up so much. I want more. I want everybody who you've brought into this that plays a part to play a major part. I want to see Admiral Whiskers again. I want, things like that. I want to see all these different things we've seen from the beginning. I want to see something that happens in Nirnheim turn around and develop here. Just
you know what it is though, because I think that's the beauty of the whole story of the Doom Patrol, because in a lot of those books, they're always sacrificing themselves for the greater good and whatnot. I wouldn't be I wouldn't be upset if this ended everything, just from the standpoint of it would be nice, tightly done.
Yeah,
it was a tight 15 episodes that worked extremely well. You told an amazing story. And I would like to not have it be tainted by anything. Like it was so good. There's a small part of me because I've been let down by a number of shows.
I get that.
That I wouldn't want to ruin it. But at the same time, I'm so proud of these actors. I'm so proud of these writers. I'm so proud of this crew. I do want more. So I'm kind of split. I'd be okay either way.
I would be sad if it was gone after this, but I would also be all right with it because they did such a good job. So,
well, we have to see how it all wraps up next week. We will be back with that. But before we go, tell them how to find you.
you can find me on all your socials. THESWAGGYBLERD. That's the swaggy blerd.
You already know with me. Twitter, Instagram, Mr. J Washington, MrJayWashington, because you should know how to spell Washington. You're on the YouTube channel, so I ain't got to tell you that. Join the Supervillain Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. J Washington. $5 gets you all exclusive content that you do not see here on the channel directly, that you won't hear on the Mad Titan podcast, which you need to download. It's on everywhere you get your podcasts. Listen for, because I get you caught up on everything happening in the Marvel and DC live-action cinematic universes. But that Patreon is exclusive content with a lot of exclusive things that you won't hear anywhere else. So go ahead and join that. We will holler at y'all next week for the season finale. Till then, take care. We out of here. Peace. Bitches.